I am here to predict all of the award winners of Overwatch League Season 6 before the season even begins, before the Pro-Am even begins, because you know what? Why not? I don't know if the Pro-Am is going to affect anything in the future, because it's like, they'll be so far away, it'll be like a preseason kind of thing, but I feel like it could matter if it's like two people are neck and neck. Oh, but you see, Atlanta Reign won the Pro-Am, so Stalker should be better, and I don't know if people will be pulling shit out like that, but I'm here to do it anyway just in case they are. So, small thing about Rookie of the Year, I'm only including Overwatch League rookies that are like signed to an Overwatch League team, because I don't think it's fair to include Contenders players here for a couple of reasons. They don't have the Overwatch League framework around them or the support, and also, if there's another season of Overwatch League, Season 7, the rookie pool would be like 6 players, maybe 0 players. If you were to do it like that, I just don't think that's reasonable at all. So I'm just counting players that are signed to a team, which makes this rookie pool very small at the moment. But it is what it is. So, starting off with role stars, number 1, I can't see a world where Proper is not a DPS role star again. Best player in the league, we'll see, but at least DPS role star. You don't go from an MVP to not even a top 4 DPS. Also, I'm going to do 5 of the role stars, 3 of all the other awards, because I'll give myself some leeway there. Why not? So yeah, Proper, kind of like if you don't take Proper here, I think you're not valid. Like, I don't like to invalidate people's opinions, but like straight up, how do you not have Proper as a top 5 DPS? It just doesn't make any sense. So, his team around him is better. He had an insane performance as a rookie. We mean to say that he has a full year in the league, increases the players around him, and then does worse? Maybe, but at least top 5, surely. Next, I'm going to also bring back Lip. I think Lip, it's a kind of a similar situation where the players around him look to be better. Shanghai was kind of just only Lip at times, and then when it wasn't, you know, you had some Hurayu stuff, Izayaki looked good. But consistently, Lip was always performing at the top, highest level. I don't see that changing, so I'm going to go with Lip. Next up is where we might deviate a little bit. I'm going to go with Shy. You can call it Hangzhou Spark bias. I don't care. I think with the work he was putting in with the Hangzhou Spark last season, with a roster that is not nearly as good as this one, it's like, I don't know. Now, you could put Leave here as well. You think Leave regains form? I think that's valid. I'm going to go with Shy because I think right now I like him a little bit more than Leave. I think that he's been, like last season, he was consistently that guy on the Sojourn. And honestly, his Ashe, his hard hit scan might even be better than his Sojourn. His Sojourn was putting up the hardest carry potentials we have seen almost ever. So I'm going to go with Shy here. After that, I'm going to run it back with Kevster. Maybe a little boring that I'm putting Kevster in here again, but he was just so good last year that I'm like, is he really not going to perform the same way? The Gladiators, are they better around him or not? It's probably not, because lacking Shu is quite bad. But you could argue, well, you know what? This gives him a chance to get every single resource. You don't have Shu playing hella aggressively, doing his thing. So maybe he gets more resources and maybe he gets to carry harder. I don't know. There's a couple of ways you can look at it. But from where I'm standing, he was a cut above everyone else and a cut below Proper. So I feel like he has to be a top 5 candidate, at least right now. So I feel pretty confident with Kevster here. And then I'm going to go off the board a little bit. Not really off the board if you're following the scene, but like Stalker, I think he's going to level up hugely in this season. Like, I'm ready for Stalker to come out and be that guy and lose no duels. He's crazy at hit scan. He's crazy at flex. His tracer's insane. He's going to be the future. He is here. There's a reason Atlanta just pulled up with Lip Stalker and they're calling it a day. He is absolutely elite. I fully expect him to blossom into just an insane DPS. Now, I could put him, the order of these that I feel confidence in, maybe. I didn't really order it properly. I feel like Proper, and then I kind of want to do Shy, but this could be Hangzhou bias. Keep that in mind, people. And then I kind of want to do Stalker, then Kevster. Maybe like this. If I was ordering them. So we'll go with that. Next up, we'll go to Tank. I have gone on record and I've said I think someone's going to be the best tank this season. I'm going to double down on that. I think someone is going to be the best. He was already arguably completely snubbed last season. His flexibility was off the charts. Statistically, he was off the charts. And now his team around him is just better. It's not a rookie anymore. Like, you can build around him even better now if you want to. There's a reason he's still here, and I think he is going to go absolutely ballistic. Behind him, I'm going to go with Smurf. pretty similar reasons. Super flexible. His team around him looks insane. Now, was Seoul better last season than this one? Honestly, you could say that. You could say that Seoul was supposed to be better than this Boston team. Depends on how highly you rate the backline, right? So it's kind of comparable, but I think Smurf is going to be an absolute rock on this roster, and I fully trust Smurf all the time. Next up, I'm going to go with Hanbin. Not a lot of surprises there. When Hanbin gets his characters, he's going to go insane on them. And assuming if he stays as the only tank on Dallas, which I think there's a decent chance he does, we'll get to see if he can fully flex around and be a hyperflex like someone in Smurf. There were some rumors about scrims of Hanbin being very good off of just his heroes, but it's like, whenever you get like a Winston, a Reinhardt, any of the main tanks, you were going to play Fearless last year. This season, there won't be any of that, and I believe in Hanbin to be a hyperflex. I think that he obviously has the skills. I'm all for it. And actually, I'm going to put Fearless here for the same reasons. The exact same reasons. I trust Fearless to be that guy across most of his heroes. I know obviously his Winston is above and beyond, and that is what would place him here the most. But I trust him on if they need a Doomfist, if they need a Wrecking Ball, if they need anything like that. I think Fearless can get the job done. You move to Zarya, maybe not Zarya, it depends, we'll see. But even like a Junker Queen, I would trust Fearless. People were saying, you know, Hanbin was #1 Junker Queen and Fearless was #2, is what people were saying. I heard it. It was on the wind. It was there. So I'm going to go with this. And then I think I'm really torn on this fifth one. I want to put in Kaluj. I want to put in Junbin, and I think Junbin is winning. As much as I want to put in Kaluj right now, part of me wants to put in Punk, but that would go a little too crazy. So I'm going to go with Junbin. I definitely trust Junbin on any of the main tanks. I think that he could split playtime with Max depending on the meta, which would hurt him a little bit, but I fully trust Junbin. I think that the hype is real for this guy, this kid, this absolute prodigy, and I'm ready for Junbin to just tear up on the Wrecking Ball specifically. This is the Wrecking Ball. Donghack has some names out there too. I still think Junbin's going to be on top in terms of that. Then supports. This might go against some things I've said last season, but I'm actually going to go with Violet as my #1 here. Because here's the thing. His Lucio wasn't top 5 for me last year, but I think this year he'll only get better on the Lucio, right? And his flex supports are going to stay insane. So I think he's going to be an absolutely pivotal part of Houston being on top. So as much as people want to say Vio poop, his beats were awful, all that, it's true. I thought his beats were a little lackluster, but he had a full offseason to grind it. He's here playing that Lucio role most of the time. Maybe Shu will pull up on Lucio. There's been some talks about that, but I kind of doubt it. I think Violet's going to be there. I also think Shu's going to be there. I'm just going to put the Houston backline 1-2, to be honest with you. Shu was the best support last year. We'll see. Maybe he could go down a little bit because, you know, you have Violet and Shu. They are both pretty aggressive in their own right. So you could be like, oh, well, Shu won't have a system around him. They'll be putting too many resources into Fearless. There could be things going wrong there. Maybe. But I kind of trust Shu to just get value out of his cooldowns 100% of the time, no matter how often he dies. He can die first every single fight. I bet you he gets 200% value out of his nade, out of his sleep dart, and forces a bunch of resources anyway. I just like Shu's style, and I'm gonna put him #2 with Violet. Fuck it. #3 is gonna be Fielder. I know this is a lot of repeats, but you know what? It is what it is. Fielder is just the best textbook support in the game. Consistently, across all supports. All flex supports, at least. Even his Brig. Like, he is textbook. He does exactly what you need him to do. He's a silent carry. He's not flashy like Shu or Violet, but he's going to get the job done 100% of the time. And that's exactly why he's there. And now, I'll go off the board a little bit. Not really off the board. I'm going with Vindame. Vindame was in my top 4 last season. He's on Shock now. I believe in Vindame. I think his flex support will be good enough. I think it will get better if they need him to do it. His Brig's insane. He just picked up Lucio for the first time last season and was already next level on it. So clearly he can pick up supports very quickly and be very effective on them. So I am all for Vindame in my top 4 for sure. He should have been there last year. Really, he should have been there last year. And then for my #5, I was very torn. I was extremely torn because I'm like, you could put a lot of names here. You could believe in Finn. If you want, you could put any of the Boston guys, maybe. Vigilante, Chio, the best Lucio, Funny Astro. I'm going to go with Chorong, is what I'm going to go with right now. I believe in Chorong. Chorong, to me, did not get his chance to shine on Toronto last season. I thought he was very consistently good all the way through. His flex supports, I think, was a bit worse than Vin Dame's whenever he had to go onto the Zenyatta and stuff like that. I do think it was noticeably worse. But I think he's going to be great. I think he's going to get a chance to shine at Florida. I trust Gunba to use him well. And I'm going to go with Churro. But yeah, you could go Chio. You could go any of the Boston guys. Funny Astro, UV even, if you want. Crimzo, if you're feeling it. Any of them, I'm going to go with Churro. So, this is what I'm calling my Roll Stars. My top 5, at least. Now, Roll Stars is only 4, so you can look at the top 4 if you want. Next, I'll go over to the Dennis Havelka. Because, why not? I'll save MVP for last. So, this is like kind of a very hard award to predict because obviously it's not really gameplay oriented. So here's what my thought process is. I think I'm going to go with Sam because here's the thing. Healthy trash talk, right? You have the Toronto Defiant content behind him. Hopefully they use that well. You have a very personable team, and Sam is kind of not the face of the team in terms of gameplay wise. So I think that is probably Toulouse or Speedily, I would guess. But in terms of like showing up to interviews, showing up on the selection shows, things like that, Sam's gonna be dripped out. He's gonna be there. He's gonna be the face of it. I could go with Sam. I like Sam. My other pick would be someone very, very visual personality despite being Korean, because it's a very Western league. As much as we say, oh, it's an international league, it's a Western league a lot of the time. The voters are, of course, Korean, Chinese as well, but it's largely a Western league, it feels like. But he's very passionate. You can see it whenever he's so hyped. So I think that alone makes him at least credible in some way. And then I'm gonna go with Punk, which might be like, why are you going with Punk? So I'm going with Punk because his story of, he was benched on Boston, or it was like they were trying to keep him down for so long. I think if he breaks out this season, I know it's not a gameplay award, but if he breaks out, he rises above the adversity, I guess. I think Punk is a good shout there. So I like that. He also has a personality. He's an Australian guy, he's not just neutral face emojicon. So I like this. Some other names you could throw in here if you want. You could throw in Dante. You could throw in either of Anion or Halo if they are on the New York Excel roster. Obviously, women have a very tough time in esports. So even just making the Overwatch League, regardless if they play a lot or at all even, they deserve consideration for this. But I'll go with this for now. That makes sense to me. And then we'll do Coach of the Year. So for Coach of the Year, I don't have the coaches on this screen, so I'm just gonna list off some coaches. So last season, it was just Christopher straight up. Now, I do think it would be easier to win this award as you go, but I also think that this award is largely how do most people, what is the general public's view of your team? How strong does the general public think your team is? How good do they actually do? What's the difference? That's kind of what this award is. It's, they performed much better than we thought they would. It must be coaching. That's what this award is. Because we don't know. We are, even the people voting, they have no clue. They don't know what the fuck's going on there. So that's how you vote for this award. So whenever I think of it like that, what do you have here? You could go London again, but I think they're going to underperform. So I'm kind of okay. I am not putting London here because I think people will be overrating them or properly rating them, is what I think. So I'm going to go with Face here because I think people are kind of not sleeping on the Gladiators, but this team is definitely a little bit of a downgrade. So if they do near as well as they did, which is probably won't, but if they do they sit around the top 5-ish area, people will be pretty okay with that. And they'll be like, oh, he's utilizing Dante so well. He's bringing in Babel. You got Kevster. I don't know. We'll see. Face just looks okay to me, especially if they try to do what they did last season with all the different compositions. People look at that as coaching, and it looks good. Next, I'm going to go with Rush. Rush is a very talented coach, and Dallas could look worse this season. So if they actually do better, or not better, you just won the league. You're not going to do better. But, people are frowning on Dallas a little bit. They lost so much. Right? So I think Rush is valid, and I'm going to go with Gumba. I think Gumba was absolutely a bit snubbed last season. Christopher obviously should have won it, but I think Gumba was my number 2, and he only got 2 votes. He really did not get anything, and I think Gumba is a very good coach. It just, I don't know what it was last season. It felt like he was a bit slow to really solve the meta. If he maybe gets a bit better at that, and you look at this roster, I like Gumba for Coach of the Year. And I know a lot of people are rating Florida, but I think they could go even higher than that. It depends. You get someone having a breakout season, you get Charong having a breakout season perhaps. You make Rupel develop into a full-fledged, very good flex support. If you get his other flex supports as good as his BAP, you have no problem here. I like it. I like it. So that's what I'm going with Coach of the Year. For Rookie of the Year, we see the rookies here. It's not unlimited. It really is not unlimited. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to throw up Sugar Free. Where am I putting Sugar Free? I don't think I can put him number 1 or 2, to be honest with you. I think the shock rookies are obviously have a bit more hype, but I really like Sugar Free. I think that he is going to be a large part of any success Vancouver finds. How good Vancouver is will largely depend on how good Sugar Free is to me. Yes, you need everyone to be popping off. You need Punk to develop a little bit more. Maybe you need some lucky metas. You need Faith. People kind of doubt Faith. I don't really doubt Faith. I think he's pretty solid. But I think Sugar Free is the big X factor. You get Sugar Free playing at like an elite level, you're looking really good with the Spire Sugar Free. They were both very talented players. So I'm looking at like the upper side of Sugar Free right here. I'll put him right here is where I'm feeling it. I'll put him number 3 Rookie of the Year. Then I have Junbin as my role star, but I'm not going to put him as my Rookie of the Year. And you might be like, how does that make sense? Well, here's the thing. Is it easier to be a top 5 tank or DPS in this league right now? Definitely easier to be a top 5 tank. There are less tanks, so it's easier to be a top 5 tank. That's kind of the reality. So even though I have Junbin as a top 5 tank, I am going to put him below Hisang for Rookie of the Year. And also, Junbin will be splitting playtime with Max. So if you look at that, you say, well, Hisang's going to be playing full-time, versus Junbin's going to be playing maybe 60% of the time. If you're looking at higher upside, I would expect 60, maybe 65, 70, depending on metas. So I think that is valid to also bring him down a little bit. And I think Hisang is just, the hype around this guy's insane. Some other names you could put here. I know Prophet, maybe, if you're feeling it. Viper, if it's a hard Genji meta. Bliss, if we really like main supports for some reason. And Donghack, maybe, if his Wrecking Ball goes insane. But even if Ball is very good, you would expect Junbin to go above him anyway. So I'm going to go with Hisang, Junbin, then Sugar Free. Hisang might get overshadowed by Proper. That could lead to some, you know, well, Hisang's not even the best DPS on his line. Well, that's not fair to him. He'd be the best DPS on almost any, well, maybe not on almost any team, but he'd be the best DPS on a lot of DPS lines. So it's like, I don't know. We'll see. I think any picks of your top 3 here, if it's any of the shock guys, Sugar Free, I think it's pretty safe. You're not like crazy. And then for MVP, kind of has to come from my role stars because I already ordered them. I'm gonna go with someone as number 3 because it's someone season, baby. Let's fucking go. I'm gonna go with Shy as number 2 because I trust Shy. I'm gonna go Proper number 1 as your first 2-time MVP. I really believe Proper will be just as good as last season or better, which is just insane. What does better even look like? You have to, like, what is a better season from Proper? How do you improve on that? I don't know. I think he will, though. If he doesn't improve on it, I don't think anyone else can either, though. That's the thing. So we'll see. This is going to be probably pretty wrong. But you know what? I feel pretty good about it. So you can let me know your thoughts down below, as always. I also have a Discord you can come and chime in on if you would like to do that in the description and all that stuff. So like this video, subscribe, have yourself a good one, and deuces.